Unstoppable Men, episode number 3, Living by a Code, and the core 4. Today's session, we're going to jump into body. And this is a movement for men who refuse to play small in their finances, fitness, and faith. And this is really near and dear in my heart because I have been sick for the last 11 days with some nasty virus. And I said, when I started this back 3 weeks ago, I said, you know what? I've been putting off Unstoppable Men's movement for probably the last 3-4 years. And I always have excuses of stuff with business, with my family, traveling. And the more that I've been getting into my faith, I've been starting to read the Bible for the past 6 months religiously. Well, not religiously, but every day for the last 6 months. And then what I've been doing is I've been taking in what I've read for the day and how I'm going to apply it in my week, my daily and my week of things that I should stop doing, start doing, and sustain doing. And one of the big things was that 2 years ago, I made a decision of being led to be on the highest version of myself as a man, as a husband, as a father to my daughter who's just turned 18. And I've dove deep into Wake Up Warrior for the last 2 years, been in the inner circle of the King's Council. And I've been putting off on being able to share the things that I've known over these last few years for whatever reason it may be. I've been living it internally. And one of the big things that when we live by code is it's real, raw, relevant results. And we base it on the core 4. Core 4 meaning your body, your being, which is your faith, God, your family, and also with your business, your finances. And so I wanted to jump in because each one of these pillars makes up all 4 of the pillars that you have to hit in order to be able to get yourself in power every single day. So I'm going to walk you through what I typically do every single morning to get myself into power before I do anything with business, text messaging. I have to put the oxygen mask on myself first and foremost, and I'm going to walk you through on the different steps that I do. But what I want to share, because this has really hit me hard these last 11 days. I was back in the USA for two months. And if you guys don't know, I've been with my wife for 27 years. Actually, this month, it's probably been 27 years ago, could be today, that I actually met my wife, Rhonda, surfing in the water in San Diego. She's from Detroit. I'm from Chicago. Lo and behold, how did 2 people from the Midwest actually end up meeting surfing in San Diego and have been together forever, ever since. And last October, we made a decision because we've been living in Bali for the last 10 years. For myself, I'm very selfish on the fact that it's all about lifestyle and business. And we've been able to operate our business, our Unstoppable Branding Agency, all around the world. We are doing this since my daughter was 1 year old, was back in 2008 when we lost everything in the financial crisis and big land development, golf course development deal. And we're at a point where we're like, okay, we've lost everything. My wife, she looks at me and she goes, I vowed never to put my child in daycare. And Hanalei was just 1 year old. And I had the experience as a young boy from 11 to 16. I got to experience what death was. My dad died of AIDS when I was 16, but from the age of 11 to 16, he knew what his expiration date was. He knew it was coming up in either 6 months, a year, 2 years. Fortunately, lived for 5 years. And during those 5 years, which was brutal, seeing a man, my father, my hero, going from 200 plus pounds as a strong man, withering away to under 100 pounds before he died, what I got to see was he knew he had an expiration date. And everything that mattered suddenly became on the back burner. And he knew he was going to die. So he goes, who wants to go travel the world? Who wants to go to Europe? Who wants to go to Australia, go to sea, go to Egypt? So from the age of 11 to 16, I got to see the world through my own eyes. And this is before the internet even existed. But what it did for me at an early age, I got to realize that tomorrow may never happen. We may get hit by a bus. You may get some disease. I've been down for the count for the last 11 days. I still feel like shit right now. But one of the things that I've learned in my life is that there's never a right moment to actually take action on anything. And so I have some friends that are visiting from out of town. They're like, you ready to go eat? I go, nope, I have to do this because this is a priority. Even if I don't feel well, I got to get the message out because this is like this burning, this calling that's inside that I got to share the knowledge, especially the fact that I'm turning 51 at the end of the month. And I've been the strongest I've ever been since in my 20s. Not this last week. I've actually got a lot of things that I got to work back from. I lost 7 pounds over the last 10 days. And having no energy, it's like these are the moments where you may physically not be fit or healthy, yet at the same time it brings you back towards like you have to start little by little. And it's just like, how did I become the strongest I had ever been? This was about 6 months ago, like right before on New Year's Eve, I got to do 225 pounds, 11 times bench press. Never done that since I was 20 years old. I actually beat the thing. But I realized back during COVID, when I started taking my health extremely seriously, I was only at 155 pounds. And my wife, she said something to me. We were on kind of like a plant medicine journey for about a year or two, really trying to find ourselves while we're out here in Bali and the world is shutting down. And I've never been fat. I've always, exercised, surf fit. But she looked at me. I did a 6-day water fast up in the mountains. And I sent her a picture and I felt like I was all ripped. And she goes, "You look really skinny." And it wasn't just like you look really skinny. It was kind of like you look eerily real skinny. And it was at that moment, shortly after, I was surfing about 15 to 20 foot Uluwatu, which is the love of my life of surfing big waves. Tore my hamstring in big surf. I was like, oh my God, it was right before sunset. Could barely get onto the cliff, get myself up. It was brutal. I thought maybe I might just die here on the cliff overnight, but I made it. And the thing, what happened to me was that there was this moment where I'm like, man, I may be just getting too old for this shit. And I had a mentor, man, that we were going on a surf trip, and I said, I got to rest 30 days. And he looked at me and he goes, no, that's what 99% of the world does. What you need to do is we need to train your leg and get you up and surfing in 7 days. I said, there's no way. My whole leg was black and blue. It was a torn hamstring. I could barely walk through the airport. And we were going over to the Meadowise to Macaroni's. And, and I'm like, and he said to me, he goes, you have to do exactly what I say. And it's going to hurt and it's going to be painful, but I'll get you up and surfing within a week. And I said, you got my word. And this is one of the biggest things for living by a code and living by the core 4 is you must trust the process. The reason that we get mentors is that they know something more than what we know. And it's many of the times to where, like, let's just say a business mentor, he tells you to do steps 1 through 10, but you're like, oh, this isn't going to, work in my schedule. I can do 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, but I can't do 8 or 9. I can do 10. Well, what kind of results are you going to get? And so when I listened to this guy, it was so brutal. And I thought my hamstring was even going to tear more. But I trusted the process. And his whole thing was to be able to get athletes up on the field within like a week's time frame. And I'm talking with some serious injuries. And it's the unconventional while they brought him in to get athletes unconventional style. But I'm like, man, I trust you. I trust you. And it was brutal. It sucked. It wasn't great. But lo and behold, and on the 8th day, I was actually able to get up and surf. Now I'm sharing this, and he says the beautiful thing about this is most people that get these injuries, these are lifelong injuries because you don't actually train it. You're resting it the entire time, and it lingers with you forever. I've had an issue since with my hamstring for the last 4 years. But here's what happened. Came back to Bali, and there was the first next big swell that was, 15 to 20 foot. And I was scared as shit, like had this PTSD moment towards like, man, what if it happens again? All these flashbacks of, not being able to swim and drown and all these fears. But I'm like, no, this is what I got to do. This is what I live for. And went out, caught an incredible wave, got the cobwebs off of me. And then lo and behold, I got pummeled. And I was so rattled, so like scared. And I was under the water saying, what if I'm too old for this shit? And the other side of me says, what if you're just not training hard enough? What if you just stop half-assing everything and start fully committing? Because this is what you want to do. And the fact that you're turning, you're going to be 50 in a few years, it's like there's no excuses. I know people that are in their 50s that are their best shape of their life, and I'm one to actually to attest to that. But it's not easy, and you have to trust a process in the people that are coming before you and doing what they say and do, even when it doesn't feel right. Especially like right now, sharing this with you guys, I'm not at a near 100% of how I feel, but it's going to hurt me more inside by not being able to share this because I've been committing to this, because there's men that are looking for guidance, looking for a way, and not just in business, but then the whole core four with your family, your faith, your finances. And today I want to dive deeper into the body, because this is over the last 11 days, I felt like everything got put on hold. Commitments that I've made, business dealings, and I've had to, just because I've had to heal. And even trying to push through some of these times, it's like there's certain moments to where your body's just like, I'm going to make you heal because there's bigger and better things that you need to do. And I'm going to have these moments where you're sitting in a pit, and you're going to learn some things about yourself on how to navigate moving forward. And it's moving forward also. If you don't have your body, you don't have everything. I've realized that I've been in one of my darkest places this last week. And I've had incredible support system with my wife and with my daughter, my friend Herb, who's here in Bali, and he's been there for me. And he's like, this is God just sharing his word, and you got to have faith, even when it feels like everything's crumbling down on you. If you have the faith and you keep taking the actions little by little, great things will happen. And what's been amazing when I had this conversation with my wife, because she is my rock, and man, being together for 27 years, it's not an easy thing whatsoever. And there's a lot of collisions. There's a lot of things, even for her making a decision with Hanalei saying, we're going to move from Bali. We're going to be back in the USA for the next year. are you coming? And I said to him, no. I said, I will spend half my time in the US with you, but I'm going to also spend half my time in Bali because I have projects, got obligations, things that I really want to do. And selfishly, this is my style with the surf and the training. I also need to there's also a thing with the way that I operate as a man to where I love being around my wife. I love being my daughter, but then I also love being able to get away and be able to create. And I think all of us as men and as humans, we need this time in order to be able to grow. And it's during this last 11 days of being in sickness and not feeling good whatsoever, it's like, this has been my time for whatever it may be it's like, you're going to grow, and it may not be the best physically. You may be having a setback, but as I reflect on the beautiful things that have came out around me with my wife, some different opportunities that she told me earlier this week, she goes, I got you. And she said it with this certainty. She goes, you rest up. I've got this. And as a man, I want to be able to control and be able to like, nope, this is what it is. I have to step up. But there's certain times where in relationships where the other one, when you're feeling up, the other one's feeling down, you can bring them up and vice versa. And she's taken this on, man. And it's like, I want to, this isn't, when I share this Unstoppable Men, it's not just about men, but it's about also the divine relationship that you have with your significant other. And then also with your children. My child, Hanalei, she's 18 now. She's a woman. She's making her own decisions. And at the same time, I want to be able to show her, as she is growing up, to expect nothing less in a man. If she decides to be with a man here, like I want to show her, it's like, accept nothing less than who your dad is. And so this is another thing to where there's a responsibility, not also within ourselves, but then also with our spouse, our children, the people that we surround ourselves, business partners, people that are clients, etc. Our whole life, right? People are relying on us to be able to step it up and live to a level to where, if it was your last day, I want to reflect this. Like, if you knew right now that you only had, let's say, 1 year, 2 years left, would you still be doing the same things that you're doing today? Would you still be surrounding yourself with the people that you're associating with, business partners, business opportunities? Are you actually providing something that is going to make a difference in the world? And for me, having the body as the core four, if you don't have your body and your health, you'll give all your money away to get that health. And believe me, I felt like I want to get rid of everything just so I could have my health back this last week. So here's what I'm sharing today is I have this surf method. So I'm gonna show this. I'm gonna share this with you. And this is something that I do every single morning to keep me on track. And I have an app that's through Warrior that I check off the boxes. And this is about getting yourself in power first and foremost. And man, many days I wake up and filled with anxiety and stress of all the things that I need to do. But when I start checking off these boxes off my list, I start gaining the power so I can start not only functioning with my spouse, my children, my employees, my clients. It gets me into the power, even with as well, that I just started doing, reading the Bible for the last 6 months. And before I do any business, I'm spending my time, typically about an hour, reading some scripture. What did I learn from it? What did I see? Not just what can I regurgitate, but how can I apply these in my daily life on what I should start doing this week, stop doing this week, and what should I be sustained doing this week? And what's my biggest revelation? And what is the thing that I'm going to be able to do right away when I get done with this exercise? So for instance, I'm going to use Sunday morning. I'm going to use the surf method. I do this when I speak on stage because it gives people a framework of being able to, like, well, what are the steps? So for instance, I typically only sleep about 6.5 to 7 hours. I slept 10 hours last night. My body's like still healing, but I woke up at 5:30, went for a surf, and that is getting my exercise. This is ticking the box. If you look on here, I got these boxes to tick, like my fitness, my fuel, and this is the body. I've taken it very much to a whole different level on my health for the eating. And this is something that I started a macro meal plan back about 2 years ago. And I went from 155 pounds to 180, the strongest I've ever been. And I don't deviate from it when I'm back here in Bali. And I don't have to think about how many grams of protein or carbohydrates or fat that I need. It's a science. I'm based on what my goals are, what my weight is, what is my training activity. And it gives me that fuel. To me, I don't care about going to restaurants, even though when I'm back in the US with my daughter and my wife, that's part of the thing. But when I'm back here in Bali, I'm very strict, very maintained on my discipline for eating. Every single morning, I'm either training. Today was a surf day. Tomorrow, I'm going to do it training. And then I got big surf coming up Tuesday, Wednesday. So that is going to be my training. So the surf method is, I'm going to write this out for you. I'll put this together. I have a little graph on this, but the S stands for set up your day for success. The U, uncover, discover, declare. The R, revenue generating activities, and the F is family and friends. Now, this is going to be one whole episode by itself, but I want to give you the framework. So it's something that you can take away right now and start applying yourself, especially since it's Sunday. I use this for the afternoon. I go into my general's tent and I start mapping out what is my big key for the week, my door, and what are the 4 things I have to do in order to knock that down. and what it is, it's the things that are extremely important but not urgent, and you have to take it from that not urgent thing. Just like this call that I'm doing, if I don't do this call, no one's going to know. But for me, it's extremely important for where I want to go here in these next couple of years and being able to lead men, leading a movement. And there's dark times. We already went through COVID. There's going to be some darker times ahead. You can call it from the presidency, from Trump, from whatever like that. The biggest thing is that we need to take care of ourselves first and foremost. And the body is the key ingredient. If you don't have your body, you don't have your health. All the other pillars of the core 4, your relationship with your wife, with your significant other, it's going to dwindle. Your business is going to dwindle. Your connection with God is going to dwindle. So for having your body, take it as if your life depends on it, because it does depend on it. And so, so for this surf method, set up your day for success. Started out with the surf. It's Sunday. Then I went to this Stana, which is cold plunge, infrared, dry saunas. So I'm taking care of my body first and foremost. Then while I'm doing this, while I'm on my motorbike or when I'm at the gym, I'm listening to a podcast or listening to something, part of my men's group. Something that I can listen to is uncover. Then I discover and declare it towards something where I can actually take what I've learned and apply it. So for instance, I was listening to a warrior call this morning, and I'm applying some of the principles that I learned, teaching it with you right now. I'm declaring it. And then today is my general's tent, which is mapping out the week in advance. So I'm very strategic coming into my Monday and not just putting things out on fires and having circumstances lead me. I'm leading by what I'm doing from the things that are very important. They're not urgent, but I'm making them urgent. Yes, you have to do the sales client calls. You have to do content pieces. You got to go through these sales. You have to have your sales process. But those are the things that you're going to do no matter what. But what are the things that are going to take those very important things that are not urgent? I like to look at them like as a domino door. What is that domino that if I hit this, all these other dominoes start to be affected and can also get to where you want to go. So the revenue generating activities, typically Monday through Friday from 9 o'clock till noon, are the things that are filling my pipeline for our business that are doing revenue generating activities, generating leads, having sales calls, working with my team in order to produce revenue. Those are the three things I have mapped out each morning in order to where, if it's not just me, who upon my team, who are my who's that I can call on to execute in order to have these revenue generating activities. And then the F, family and friends. I'm here solo. Typically when I'm with my wife and my daughter, we're having dinner, we're having the family and friends. Even last night, I find this to where I start to isolate myself, and especially when you're sick, I start isolating myself and I try to figure out and like, hey, I can do this myself. And what happens when I isolate myself, I take away my power, because power is in with the proximity of the people that you surround yourself with. So the gentleman, Josh, who's visiting from Japan, he's like, you ready to go eat? I go, I got to do this first, and then I'm going to be with you. And then when I'm with you, I'm fully 100% present with you. And it's these relationships, no matter how automated and AI we get in this world, the one thing that you can never take away is the human interaction and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. And when you add up the 5 closest people in your life, are they bringing you to a higher standard, or are they bringing to you a lower standard? And so the people that I'm hanging around with, they are physically fit, they're mentally sharp, they have finances where I'm striving to. They have great relationships. And these are the people that I surround myself with. So one of the things that we want to do over these next 3 weeks I was given this challenge of like 5 people. If you guys want to, I'm going to do a 21-day challenge, a Warrior Unstoppable Men challenge. Something that I learned that I went through back about 4 or 5 years ago that radically changed my whole world. And I want to share this with you because this is something I've been kind of keeping under the wraps for whatever reason, but it's stuff that has to be known. Send me a message. We're going to do the challenge together now that I'm getting all physically fit, and it's going to wrap up while I leave to the US here at the end of the month. And then I'm going to do it again next month for the month of June while back in the USA. You just hit me up. You let me know. But stay tuned. The next Unstoppable Men, we'll be doing it. I'm going to be doing it next Friday, and we're going to be talking about relationships, key ingredient. Because if your spouse is not on board, and if you don't have a spouse or a girlfriend, your relationships are the ones that will bring you up or they'll bring you down. And I'm going to share the things that have worked for myself and with my wife to how we've been together for 27 years. It's not easy, but nothing that ever is fantastic, is great, is never easy. That's it from Bali, Sunday. Unstoppable Men. Looking forward to seeing you in our challenge. Hit me up. Cheers and be unstoppable. Dun, dun, dun. Now I got to figure out how to. Dun, dun.